the orthoPAC, hosted by Sam Dyer. Welcome to the orthoPAC, where we discuss up-to-date orthopedic topics for the busy clinician. I invite you to sit back and relax as I attempt to fill in the gaps between education, current events, and real-world practice. We're back today with Don Morton-Rias in part 2 of the NCCPA interview. Last topic, again, not an easy one, but I think one that needs to be addressed. I was looking at the NCCPA 2019 study, the characteristics of PAs that are certified, and I read that the percentage of female to male PAs is greater than 2 to 1. In fact, it's 70% female, 30% male, which I was not aware of, actually. How has that pattern developed over the years?
It's very interesting, and yes, you're absolutely right. It has shifted. In the early days of the profession, it was just the opposite, heavily male dominated, and that comes from who the early PAs were. The early PAs were military personnel, which were primarily men. I think the profession has become very attractive to women because of its flexibility, because you're able to acquire this credential with just 2 additional years or 2.5 years of education and training. And so for many of those who would have pursued medicine as physicians or osteopaths or pharmacists, have chosen our profession because of the speed with which you can go from being interested to being a practicing PA. And also the ways in which the market has utilized PAs in full-time and part-time capacities. And I know even for myself, when I first became a practicing PA, I worked, at least 1.5 jobs,
Right.
positions, because you could work per diem and so forth. So I think though, and then at times when I was raising infants, would work part-time, so there's that flexibility that being a PA enables us to enjoy. And I think that has helped make the profession very appealing to women. So it has been an interesting shift as the applicant pool has shifted from military personnel to more traditional college students. You've seen the shift in the gender as well. We're also seeing at the undergraduate level, and this harkens back to my experience as an educator at SUNY Downstate, that more of the college students are female across the board. And so the applicant pool to PA school is higher, has more representation of women. So I think there are a lot of social factors, a lot of factors that have contributed to that shift in our profession. And so, yes, you're absolutely right. And so, in many programs, being a male is being underrepresented, representing an underrepresented group.
Right.
And so that is a shift. I hope that programs would be working towards incentivizing or helping to increase awareness of this profession among male applicants or male undergraduates, so that they would see this also as a very viable profession. But it's an interesting shift, an interesting dynamic for the profession. And it is, yes, in fact, more heavily female than male. There are also statistics in medicine also that support that for the first time in the entering classes in the last few years have been 50-50 male female, and in some universities more women than men. So I don't think this is isolated to the PA profession, but I do think our proportions are a little bit greater, perhaps owing to the flexibility of the market for PAs.
We do an annual practice and salary survey, and for 2019, we were about 50-50. But I asked our researcher to do another question for the participants and break down the salary by gender, accounting for age, time in practice, and similar variables. He did a breakdown, and would you like to guess what he found?
I am certain
You know what it is, yeah.
that I know what it is. Yes,
Yeah, and
yes.
what was amazing to me was it wasn't an insignificant number. It was ten to $20,000 difference in annual salary between male and female practicing PAs and orthopedics, which I just was amazed. Maybe that's my bias from being a male. I don't know, but I thought, wow, what is what is going on here? And I'm just curious, has the NCCPA investigated this, or have you looked at anything like this? And what can we do about it?
Well, I think this is shocking in some respects, but not shocking in others. This is yet another example of inequity that exists in our society that has has not had light shone on it previously, and not in any real way. And so I do believe that this is, like the previous topic we talked about, another opportunity for us to pull the curtain back and to shine the light on this inequity. This is well established, and it's evident in our data too. I mean, PAs complete surveys for us. They update their profiles annually or every other year, rather, when they're and logging their CME. And we see that and we ask about salary. We see that there's a difference. We report our findings in our statistical, our quarterly statistical reports. Each of those statistical reports emphasize different things. The first one in the year is a full profile of the profession as of December 31st the previous year. And the subsequent reports focus on specialty and by state, and then recently certified PAs. And we're seeing absolutely the same thing, that there is a salary discrepancy. So the first step that we've embarked on is really just highlighting it, putting it out there, making it visible. In medicine, we say you can't treat the illness that you don't know, or the diagnosis that you don't know. And so putting light on it is one step. And oftentimes when we publish our statistical reports, the media then notices it and contacts us for either statements, or we'll write subsequent articles about some of those findings. And the salary focus, and maybe it's because of some of the some of the journalists who have who've chosen to write about us. The articles have focused on the salary for the profession. Like, oh my goodness, PAs are making so much money is kind of what those articles have said.
Right.
That the salaries are high. What they haven't emphasized is a discrepancy between the genders. Um, and so I do think there's an opportunity for us all to promote or to make it visible that that discrepancy exists. I believe that the AAPA is also they also conduct salary surveys and publish those findings. And so, to the extent that we can triangulate the data to make policymakers, employers, and others aware of this discrepancy, and that this is unacceptable. This is a form of inequity that should not be tolerated. Perhaps is a first step. But you're absolutely right. This is not a secret, and it's becoming more visible to the public and certainly to the profession as we continue to publish reports.
We've talked about a big perspective and how we can address it. As far as an individual perspective, the female PA who's new to a practice, what are their options as far as negotiating for salary and benefits? Or what thoughts do you have on how they can hopefully get some level of equality when it comes to salary, benefits, and similar things?
That's an excellent question, and I think one of the first steps is empowering new graduates and PAs seeking positions with information, arming them with what males are making in that, what they're earning in that same role. Comparing entry level PA salaries for men and entry level PA salaries in that discipline and in that region, to what they're offering for women, because or offering to women. I think if you come equipped with those data, that speaks volumes. And even if you feel, and oftentimes new graduates or new PAs feel hesitant to advocate for themselves in an assertive way because they want the job or they don't want to be perceived as being too pushy. And we have to overcome that. We have to find our voice, and perhaps in our leadership roles we can help equip PAs with data so that they are armed with information and able to respectfully raise the question that this is what males make in this setting, in this discipline, in this region of the country. And I think, given my experience or level of clinical preparation, this is a more commensurate salary. And so I think that we have to continue to make those data available to PAs and continue to shine that light on that. And also, we realize that people make individual decisions, and some are more assertive than others. And as PAs, we're often still working towards acceptance. We're still grateful to be around the table. And I think as the profession continues to mature, we need to know our worth as a profession, that we contribute significantly to the revenue of a practice, that we expand the services or what the services that can be provided in a given day or a given month. And for that, we are entitled to or should be compensated in a way that's commensurate with that contribution, regardless of gender. But I understand and agree, and certainly even in my own experience, I don't think I was always as assertive as I perhaps could have been in advocating for myself. And I think that's something that we, as women and as PAs, need to continue to work towards overcoming. It's not something that perhaps comes easy to everyone, but it is something that I think we all need to work on.
Absolutely. It's very difficult, I think, for many people to try to negotiate salary and try to ask for what they're worth. And I would just tell people that when you are presented with that interview, when you're doing your negotiation, that you use some of this data and you say, hey, I'm worth this. And, I had somebody tell me once that you don't know if they'll say yes or no until you ask. So it never hurts to ask. So I would.
And if you don't ask, the answer is always no, right?
Always no. That's right. That's right. So definitely keep that in mind. Well, Dawn, I appreciate your time today. We've covered a lot of territory here, and it's been wonderful, very helpful, very good stuff, and I really thank you.
I just am really grateful for the chance to chat with you and to relate with your members and to answer questions and to have important dialogue about things that affect our profession and the patients that we care for. So this has really been an honor for me, and I just would be remiss if I didn't thank you for extending this invitation and opportunity to me.
Oh, you're absolutely welcome. And I think it's great for our members as well to know that there's a real person here, a real PA, someone who cares about our issues as PAs. And I really appreciate your time, and I appreciate your candor, and thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for joining the orthoPAC podcast. We also welcome you to visit our website, paos.org, where members can download virtual conference content and get Category 1 CME. Also, if you're a non-member, please visit the aapa.org Learning Central for the PAOS virtual content.